India around the 4th century BCE was divided into numerous kingdoms and republics. The foremost among them was the Magadha kingdom in eastern India, whose rulers, beginning with King Bimbisara, had embarked on a quest for empire building. Magadha's boundaries had thus been much extended over time and contained a good part of central, eastern and northeastern India. Alexander the Great invaded India in 326 BCE, and in consequence, much of northwestern India was thrown into turmoil and political chaos. The Magadha ruler, during these times, was Dhananandan, of the Nanda dynasty. He possessed a vast treasure and an army numbering 20,000 cavalry, 200,000 infantry, 2,000 chariots and 3,000 elephants, according to the Roman historian Curtius. Much of Chandragupta's life and origins are still shrouded in mystery. Most of what is known all about him comes more from legends and folklore rather than actual historical sources. The Roman historian Justin alludes to his humble origins. Chandragupta was ambitious and sought ways and means of attaining a position of authority or even a crown. Even if from a completely ordinary family, Chandragupta did not feel his origins had anything to do with his political ambitions. Either way, historically, it is thus very probable that Chandragupta as a young man had definitely involved himself in the endeavor of fulfilling his ambitions. Chandragupta knew that to successfully accomplish his journey to power, war with the established kingdoms would be unavoidable. He thus focused on obtaining military training and experience. Legends say that he met Alexander and perhaps obtained his permission to serve in his army so as to learn the Macedonian way of warfare and how it could be used against the tactics of ancient Indian warfare, besides his own military training. Justin and the Greco-Roman historian Plutarch mention the meeting with Alexander. However, this meeting was a disaster, and Chandragupta was forced to flee for his life. Some historians are of the view that for Chandragupta, who lived in the Magadhan kingdom, it was not possible to go all the way to the northwest to meet Alexander, even if the idea occurred at all to him in the first place. Instead, he met Dhanananda and sought service in his army. They believe that Justin mistakenly mentioned Alexander instead of Dhanananda. Irrespective of what Chandragupta's early moves in his career were, what can be stated with certainty is his relationship with the statesman-philosopher Kautilya. He was his best ally, mentor, and guide, and the one who shaped not only his career but the course of the Mauryan Empire under Chandragupta. Chanakya or Kautilya, on his part, had decided to take the leading role in rebuilding and reshaping the Indian polity. Though initially from Magadha, being a student and later a teacher at Taxila, Kautilya thus became witness to the political turmoil created in northwestern India because of the Macedonian invasion. This caused him to think in terms of establishing a centralized pan-Indian empire that could keep invaders at bay and restore order. The existence of numerous republics and kingdoms disunited and perennially at war with each other, for obvious reasons, could not do so. He considered Magadha apt to be the empire in question. His proposal for the same was met by scorn and insults from Dhanananda, which was followed by Kautilya's determination to remove the incumbent king. Magadha was the only territorial entity that could provide order among the chaos. It had a virtually unrivaled military standing, crucial for the existence of the kind of empire that Kautilya wanted. Protected by its vast military, it enjoyed a stability that other kingdoms could not. Kautilya was thus determined to have Magadha as the centerpiece of his scheme of things, whether under the Nandas or someone else, it did not matter. He thus decided to replace Dhanananda with the better and more capable candidate. The man chosen was Chandragupta. Mentoring him for the role, Kautilya prepared for a takeover of Magadha and all that went with it. Chandragupta's own caliber was thus honed in terms of war, diplomacy, and covert operations. How and when his first meeting with Chandragupta took place are not clearly known. Folklore has it that after returning from Dhanananda's court, the humiliated Kautilya, while plotting his revenge, came across a boy in a village who even in a game was displaying qualities of being a great king. Quick to realize his potential, Kautilya decided to take him on as his protege and sought the tribal or village chiefs and the boy's mother's permission to take him along and train him for his future role. He then brought the boy Chandragupta along with him to northwest India, from where, the stories say, Chandragupta grew up under training from Kautilya and was thus prepared for his role as the future emperor. Chandragupta, who was already seeking to make his fortune, met and allied with Kautilya, whom he had realized as an invaluable ally. The importance of the stories, however, lies in the fact that they point towards Chandragupta's humble origins, his circumstances, and how they were not suitable for his growth, and thus he had to move out in order to attain his objectives. His meeting with Kautilya would have thus taken place after the humiliated scholar was returning from Pataliputra and Chandragupta's own initial endeavors to win power had been unsuccessful. Having realized that they had much in common, the two set out to achieve their common goals. The discovery of an underground treasure led them to recruit a mercenary army. Using the post-Macedonian invasion area of northwest India as an ideal base because of its chaotic conditions and lack of political and military opposition, Chandragupta deployed his men, challenged the waning Greco-Macedonian authority and scored victories over the local kingdoms or whatever was left of them. He then gained control over central India and finally advanced towards the Magadha heartland. Realizing that a conflict with Magadha would necessarily entail much more than a mighty army, Kautilya went for the war by other means strategy. There were lots of intrigues, counter-intrigues, plotting and counter-plotting which he resorted to in order to break the strength of Dhanananda by weaning away his key allies, loyalists and supporters, most notably his chief minister Rakshasa. Ultimately, by employing both military and non-military means, Chandragupta managed to secure the throne at Pataliputra. Dhanananda probably escaped or was killed. Secure in the imperial seat, Chandragupta directed his attention towards expanding his dominions. The Mauryan armies reached as far as the western coast of India and southern India. Plutarch states that he overran the entire country with an army of 600,000. The extreme south and northeast India were not part of the empire. Chandragupta came into conflict with Seleucus Nicator, Alexander's heir in the east, the idea being the reduction of the Greek power and gaining in known territory and strength. The war ended in 301 BCE by the signing of a treaty. Chandragupta obtained the areas of Arachosia, Gedrosia, and Peripamissadae. 500 elephants were given to the Greeks. Legend maintains that Seleucus handed over his daughter Helena in marriage to Chandragupta, but historical evidence does not support it. It was also decided to appoint a Greek ambassador, and as a result, Megasthenes came to the Maurya court at Pataliputra. He wrote about the Mauryan administration, and though his work Indigo is now lost, quotations of it survive in the works of several subsequent Greek writers. Chandragupta thus left behind a legacy that has survived in the pages of the Arthashastra. Not only did he build up an empire by his own efforts, overcoming all obstacles, but he also set up sound principles for its governance and himself worked tirelessly for its growth. It was these achievements that make him one of ancient India's foremost rulers and the near-mythical figure of folklore.